Hey everyone. In the last mapping hangout, we covered a little bit about MapSAR Online, a web mapping application project to make using WebGIS a little bit easier for search and rescue teams. Today, I'd like to review how to create the layer that's used inside of ArcGIS Online to make MapSAR Online. Now remember, layers in this case, the MapSAR layer, is the layer that allows us to go in and add our own features to the map. So, for instance, a planning point, or polygons like assignment areas. So let's take a look at how you can create a new layer for a MapSAR app using ArcGIS Online. From your ArcGIS Online account, you want to go to and navigate to My Content. Within My Content, you may want to create a folder just for your own instance of MapSAR, so you can keep track of where all of your different MapSAR items are. To create a folder, just click on New and type in the name of your folder. To create a new empty hosted feature service or feature layer, we'll click on Create, Feature Layer, and you'll see here there's a variety of different templates you can already use. For instance, if you're using the Collector app, you'll want to create one of these location tracking services to live track teammates in the field. Or for those of you working in emergency management, there's a damage assessment template to help you do that. You can also publish a feature service using a URL. For instance, if someone has a feature service in their organization, they'd like to share it with you so that you can create a new one from it. You can do that here. What we'll do today inside the MRA organization is we'll create a service from our MapSAR feature layer. I type in MapSAR and I see MapSAR for MRA feature layer. And this will allow me to quickly create a new empty layer that's ready for me to edit. In other words, it'll keep all the layers and detail that was in my original layer. And I'll just turn a few things off here that I don't need. And that'll allow me to create a layer from this. I can choose the extent that I'm working in. In this case, I'll just use all of the United States. And here I'll enter a title. You might want to enter your team name or an incident name, and then a title there. Notice it's automatically added some tags. This is also a good place to add your team name or the incident name, but I'll just call this training. You can edit the summary on what this is for, and then you'll want to save it in your MapSAR folder or wherever you're going to store this data set. When I click Done, it's going out and creating that hosted feature layer the same way a GIS professional would use, ArcGIS Desktop or ArcGIS Pro to publish that layer to the internet. So now it's created our feature layer, and every item inside of ArcGIS Online gets a little website associated with it, so you can go ahead and enter in more details or enable capabilities, like in this case, for clues, I'll definitely want to make sure that attachments are enabled so that if someone takes a picture of a clue in the field, they can add it instantly to the layer. And there'll be other capabilities in here as well. I can change the way my symbology looks. I can preview my data. I can also look at the amount of usage on this layer. And we can also peek here on some of the extra settings. For instance, I want to make sure that this layer is editable, but I also want to keep track of who created and last updated features using their ArcGIS Online login. So that's some of the basics. Now that I have a layer, I want to be able to create a web map from it. So I'm going to open this into a new map. It's asking me if I want to create some new symbology for my layer, but for now, I'll go ahead and just click No. You'll notice that time has been enabled on my map, but we'll go ahead and disable that capability for now. We'll come back to that later. I click on the little dots here next to routes, and I'll simply disable time animation. So you'll see here in the legend of my web map all the different layers that are available with this MapSAR layer, with this MapSAR feature layer. What I'd like to do now is save this as a web map so I can return to it later, make edits, and also share it as an application in the next episode. Let's give it a title, MapSAR web map. You might want to enter your team name here or last name. And we'll put a few tags in. Training, MapSAR, and you could put an incident name here. So now we have a web map that we can use. And this is really where creating the application will start off when we come back to this next week. Remember, in our web map, we can change the default base map at any time. So if you prefer a USGS topographic map, you can have that load by default. You'll notice it changes here as we zoom in down to our 1/24,000 scale map. I can also add imagery or change it back to our USGS topographic map at any time. So what we've done is published a hosted feature layer and saved it as a web map. I'll go ahead and add this link here so you can learn a little bit more about hosted feature layers and some of the other ways to make them and some of their capabilities in the video description below. Next month, we'll learn a little bit more about this web map and how to create your own MapSAR web mapping application. Take care.